And good evening. What the heck was that? That was the first time I've ever had that countdown intro. I guess it's a new thing, StreamYard. I use StreamYard here. We've been using StreamYard since day one. But again, welcome. Thank you once again. Thank you for tuning into tonight's Incredichat. We don't get to do these as often as we'd like to, but here we are. I'm sitting in my little studio, my library, if you will. We got some Muppets and some awesome animation and television DVDs behind me. We got a great assortment of things. Just a couple of quick plugs before we hop into tonight's guest. First and foremost, if you are up in the Syracuse area, Syracuse, New York, come and see me this weekend. I will be hanging out at the Retro Gamer Con up at the One Center in Syracuse, New York. So if you're in the area, stop by, say hi. I'll be around. Find me. You never know where you might see me, but I'm going to be up there, and I'll be working with those folks there. It's a great show. If you love video games, if you love the tabletop games, the card games, everything is going to be there. So I don't know what I'm going to find. I play video games as much as I can, but come and check that out. Secondly, another show that we support here, Saratoga Comic Con. That's coming up in November. We'll talk more about that as we get going and get closer. And we have a couple of other great guests coming up after tonight's show, which we will be lining up in the next couple of weeks. So get ready for some more Incredichat. So tonight we are back, and we're going to catch up with an old friend of ours, and I don't know where he disappeared to, but somebody who goes way back into my realm of getting into the Comic-Con world and my education journey. So without further ado, let's welcome the founder of Bronx Heroes and Black Power and the Roach and Punchline, creator Ray Felix. Welcome.
Hey.
Look at you in your studio. Look at that.
Yeah.
Well, Ray Felix, you are back. You are back with us here. It has been quite some time. I don't even know when we last talked. This is great.
2 years ago. How old is your kid? The new one?
Almost 2 years ago. Has it been 2 years? Jesus Christ. Well, we work on opposite sides of New York or New Jersey at this point now. So
yeah,
it's crazy. So Ray, what's been going on? I don't have the books in front of me, but of course we have Punchline. We have World Without a Superhero. We've got Bronx Heroes and Black Power and all those characters. What's going on in the wonderful Felix verse since we've last talked?
Well, what's funny is that my dead title that was terrible with sales that I got sued over back in 2010, all the way 2010 to 2014, The World Without Superheroes. I was actually trying to finish that series up, and I was working diligently this past year to finish it up. So I colored one issue that was one of the original ones that I deleted from the series back. It was from 1993, the first issue from 95. And I was like, why haven't I published these? Because two comic book greats helped me with them. Was Howard Post, who used to work for Marvel. He was known for Little Red Hot. And Carmen Infantino of The Flash. I was a student while I was literally drawing, writing, and he would give me tips on these stories. And I'm like, why did I abandon this? This stuff looks great. So, the older you get, I guess you reflect.
Throw away. I mean, like if you're disappointed with artwork, don't throw it away. Put it to the side, and you'll come back to it.
Yeah, it came back. So I just started coloring it, and then so it was like actual issues. It was the original issues 3, 4, 5, and 6 of A World Without Superheroes, which I deleted, and then I rewrote those from issues 3 and on. So shifting the story focus onto the Mystery Man character. But it was the original group called Teen Nation, which now I'm calling the League of Nations. Their story. Which they were still in this story, but they played a much more minor role. So I ended up working on that, coloring that, editing it. I even drew some new stuff, and I mixed it with AI for certain sequences to come up with this like dreamlike world, showing like time and perspective. And Alan Moore is really good at writing stories about different characters and different perspectives, and so does Neil Gaiman, and they always use different artists depending on who was thinking to convey those thoughts and those perspectives. So I was like, hey, why not throw some AI images in there. With
Well,
go ahead.
I know I was gonna say I've seen you been posting. You've been playing with some AI with some of your characters. So I guess some of those images are what we're ultimately gonna see
Yeah.
in Without Superheroes.
Yeah, so there's sequences. There was two artists. There was one issue that I drew, and then I hated it. And so it was one of the original ones from the 90s. And I hired this other artist, Marcus Sam Jones, to draw it. But it took him 2 years to get it out. And then finally, when he finished it, I think it was either right before Bronx Heroes or yeah, I think it was right before. And then I inked it. I never colored it. And then I looked at it now and I was like, well, it was, anime was big back then. I mean, it's still huge, but
I think it's getting. We'll talk about that, but yeah,
when I was, when I was young, it was getting big. So I started saying, oh, maybe we should draw these Teen Nation characters as anime, as manga, since manga is becoming more popular. And then I went back, more towards the traditional comic book stuff.
Yeah.
I had a short stint with the No One anthology where I was drawing an anime style at one time between 2000 and 2004. So then I was like, hey, I could use this, but there's certain parts I liked, certain parts I didn't like, and I liked the original story. So I kind of did like a Groundhog Day issue where I literally took, they're both the same, the exact issue, but different drawing styles. So I mixed them. So the first half is this anime style, and then time shifts or changes, and then it goes back to the original style.
Gotcha.
So I literally just divided the pages I liked, didn't like, and then merged them together.
How's it been coming back to these characters that kind of, I mean, when I first met you, it was all about the world without the superheroes. What is it? How's it feel coming back to see these characters again?
Well, when I got all this flurry of this news coming in about superhero, like DC and Marvel losing their superhero trademark, I literally felt a pain, like physical pain in my chest. Like it felt like something lifted out, like if my chest vomited pain out, and I was like, oh, it's sore and I feel better. Like it was almost like they had a curse on me. Like the curse was lifted.
Are they doing voodoo on you, Ray Felix?
But yeah, something like that. That's what it felt like, because it put me in such a somber state of but I persevered and focused more on the Bronx Heroes, which is fine. But coming back to the characters, technically they never left. They've always been in my head. Sometimes I have dreams about stories and things like that, and yeah, it's like in a sense, I am my characters. So it's almost like they're constantly active in here.
Well, they're always talking to you, but that could have something to say if you're hearing voices in your head too. No.
Well, the brain cannot tell the difference between the dream world and our waking world, right?
No.
It's very few people that actually can tell that they're dreaming while they're dreaming and can snap out of that. I'm one of those people. So it's like,
why wouldn't you be, Ray? Why wouldn't you be? Of course you are.
During my exile, I've been actually mastering the dream world and learning how to control it and navigate through it. So
you're kind of like those kids in Nightmare on Elm Street 3.
Yeah, yes, exactly. I'm like the Doctor Strange within my own brain, right? It's like,
and there's nothing wrong with that. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. So let's talk a little bit more about this superheroes, right? Because and you could probably touch upon it because it's been a while since we've talked about this. But you kind of went to war the mid 2000s? What the mid 2000s?
Yeah,
the mid 2015, right ish.
Yeah, it was 2010, and then the case was over in 2014 when we settled.
2014. So you went up against Marvel and DC, and I didn't know that the term until I met you. I didn't know that the term superhero was copyright. I thought anybody could be a friggin' superhero.
Anyone could be a superhero, but you can't use the word superhero on a cover. So they trademarked it in every language. So they basically owned the word on the planet. And
so you can't put it on a cover.
On a cover. It's a generic term, but they claim to have owned it. And once I proved that they did not create it, they were quickly, they didn't offer me any money, but they were quickly saying, look, let's settle. We're ready to work with you. Now,
Yeah.
had I had the $50,000, because no lawyer was doing anything pro bono, and I was doing all the work myself and with other people giving me a hand online. Had I had the money to take them on, they would have lost back then, 14 years ago. Right. So, but I didn't have 50 grand to spend. And I was actually in the middle of a custody case with my daughter at that time. So I had a visitation case, a custody case, and I had Marvel and DC. So
Get a case.
and I was still doing conventions and coaching and working as a teacher. So I had a full plate.
So I mean, but so when they came and said let's settle things out, I mean, like how first of all, how did you? So you found out that you couldn't use the term superhero on a cover. How did you find that out? How did you find out that they kind of like cornered the market? And then how did you, Ray Felix, the solo guy, be like, no, this is BS. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, what happened was there was a company. Well, I didn't know that they owned it outright. I know that when the TV show Heroes dropped, that they had renewed their trademark for the word superheroes because they felt threatened by that NBC show. Heroes, yeah. So they had just renewed it, and that made news. But I didn't know they owned it outright.
It was a joint thing that they both owned, I guess, right?
Yeah, and that's illegal. You can't. Two companies cannot own a joint trademark. Two people can share a trademark, like if you're co-authors or something.
Yeah.
But two corporations claiming that they own the word outright and then keeping it out of public domain by suing people. That's the way they kept it out of public domain, is just they had over 184 separate cases where they were suing people.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. It just seems that when they went up against Super Babies, they're going up against a large company with a lot of money too.
I don't even know the Super Babies. What the heck are they?
So Super Babies was their latest victim, where they're like, you can't use the word Super Babies because we own the word superheroes, and it doesn't even relate. But they poked the wrong bear. So Super Babies LLC is the one that took them to court and won.
Gotcha. Interesting. And that was what, about 2010?
No, that was just recently. That's
that was just now. Oh, because then you were saying, interesting. Because now you said that the public domain. So I guess the public domain is open now, correct?
Now it's open. Now they've lost control over the word, but they've had it forever, since 68, 69.
So what does that mean for them and for people like you then, or people like us who want to get out there and make our own comics?
It means that the contract I signed with them when we settled is probably trash. Because they no longer held the power over the word. They gave me permission to use the word and to publish with it. Because aside from Marvel and DC, I also had a federal trademark. So I was the only one that was legally able to use it as well. But they kind of gave me the protection of a trademark without the trademark. And that was a negotiation. Because they wanted to just kill the book. They usually sell the word. They license the word out to companies. So you have to pay to use the word superhero. So whenever you see superhero in ads, they were paying Marvel and DC.
Gotcha. But superhero in a written, like in a prose, so like inside a comic book, it doesn't matter.
Right. If it's inside of a comic book, it doesn't matter. But if you're using it to sell the title,
like a title.
And my argument is, say again?
Right. Like if you wrote a book like My Dad is a Superhero, then
yeah, they'll come after you. I mean, if what was I gonna say? I forgot now. It's like nano. I don't know. If let's say, well, my argument with them was that they were saying that I was violating their trademark. And they mentioned Iron Man, they mentioned Spider-Man, they mentioned Superman, and they mentioned Batman. And I was violating their trademark. And I said, well, the word superhero is the literal element, so that if you're using the word trademark and you own the word trademark, you're not using it. And I had used as evidence over 300 DC and Marvel products that did not have the word superhero on them. And I think at that time, Lego was licensing Marvel and DC, but they did not use the word superheroes. So right during our trial, when I mentioned that, and then they just kept coming to court and delaying, asking for extensions for 4 years. You and I can't do that, you know.
Yeah.
They dragged it out. But when they realized, and I had very lengthy conversations with the lawyers, where they were like, oh, so I kind of made them do their homework and made them realize we have to put the word superhero and trademark it when we license it. It has to be on Lego, it has to be on this product, it has to be on
Like
that.
where it says like Lego Marvel superheroes.
Yeah, it said Lego superheroes and all that stuff and all these other products.
Well,
So some
even
products already did have that. They would say superheroes,
like so like here I'm
Wonder
pulling
Bread, and some of those products.
oh,
But there was
that's
a lot of products that didn't have them, like, and the comic books don't have them.
Teen Titans doesn't say superhero.
Right, exactly. It just says Teen Titans Go.
Gotcha, but
So I was like, how can you claim trademark for the word superhero that does not exist? See,
you say superhero girls, or
you can thank me for that because they weren't doing that.
we
They were.
have the Lego DC superheroes.
See, there you go.
Interesting.
That wasn't happening. In the 70s and 80s, they had products that said superheroes on them, and you had some
Lego stuff, right?
Yeah, things that they licensed, like the airline ads or whatever.
Yeah.
But they don't have it on their own product. So I was like, Superman's comic book has nowhere on any of these. You can get thousands of issues. The word superhero is not on the cover. It's not on Spider-Man. They actually start putting it on Spider-Man once I mentioned that. It's not on Iron Man. It's called the Invincible Iron Man, not Iron Man superhero. So how do you own a trademark for something that you're not even using?
How'd they put it on Spider-Man?
They put a tagline above saying, like America's greatest superhero, like in a font of 15, and then they had the main title, The Amazing Spider-Man. But I don't even know if they kept it up. But just during the case, they started doing that.
That's interesting.
And then they also had a limited edition energy drink because I said, well, if I had an energy drink, I could call it.
You were selling soda?
Yeah, they said I did sell soda, but it was Bronx Heroes. But if I had gotten the trademark for superheroes, there's nothing they could do about it because it's the literal element. You have it for comics and toys and merchandise and whatever. They did, but they didn't have it for soda, so then they released soda, right? And I said that Nietzsche's family could sue you because Nietzsche actually the Superman and all that stuff. Then they had Jim Lee doing one issue of Superman the Uberman as a Nazi. All that stuff happened because of my complaints that I listed to them about, well, this is how you're neglecting your trademark and you're not having it in proper use.
So why did they just offer you a job? I mean, like obviously,
I did the job for them, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. You knew their business better than they did. So at that point, they should have been like, Mr. Felix, we should just bring you on board and let you, handle. You'll be in charge of the superhero division.
Right. Something, right? It's like, yeah.
So now obviously it's in the public domain. So when did it hit? It's going into it, or did it hit it this past?
It already did, and that's when the article broke. They lost. It's officially lost. They no longer own it. So
they can't get it back. So every Tom, Dick, and Harry can do Mickey Mouse, the world's greatest superhero. Steamboat Willie, the world's greatest superhero.
Yeah, right? You can have Mike Lopez's superheroes, right, on the cover.
World of superheroes, because listen, I can kind of understand where they're coming from, because if we have Mike Lopez's or Ray Felix World of Superheroes, someone's going to be like, I mean, essentially, a kid may see that and be like, oh, I want this book because it says superheroes on it, and they're going to assume that Batman or Spider-Man are in there, but they're going to find something completely different, and that's probably where they were afraid it was going to hurt their business, right?
Right. And the thing is, I've had World Without Superheroes copyrighted since 1993.
Yeah. And
then I renewed the copyright. Well, the copyright didn't expire, but I basically updated it in 2007.
Interesting.
And they never, their little ping alert system never tagged. So I've had the copyright. The story's been copyrighted forever, even before I was even publishing comics.
Yeah.
While they were in production, I had copyrighted them. So yeah, I mean that's a long time ago, right? Yeah, I was like,
Well, a long time ago, but it's coming back now, right?
yeah, I was 19 years old when I came up with that series and when I, copyrighted it. So they couldn't undo the copyright because when they did try, I had I did have some agent that works for the copyright office try to question my 2007 copyright. They were going to try to undo it. And I was like, well, your internet at this point, their internet thing, I said, you don't have a category. They do now, but
Yeah.
I said, doesn't have a category to file or to amend existing copyrights.
Mhm.
So, and this is like in 2010. So it was already copyrighted for 3 years, but they tried to undo that. And then the lady was calling me over and over again. I said, look, this is just an update. This thing's already copyrighted since 93. And she was like, well, can you send me copies of that? And I was like, no, because I think I had just moved. And I was like,
Yeah.
my stuff is in boxes. I'm not sending you anything. That's your job. You work for the copyright office. And they wanted me to send copies of my stuff of what was copyrighted and what's not copyrighted.
They should have that on file already.
Right. So she was like, well, I would have to go back into she said some archives with the microfilm because everything was put on microfilm and she didn't want to do that. So they left it alone. You know how much, it's like, imagine going into the Raiders of the Lost Ark,
Like that room, right?
that room and then looking for the library code for the number, like on the Dewey Decimal System. Good luck. So they left that alone. So my copyright was never came into question because it was way pre-existing. So, but they went after the trademark. So
Interesting.
yeah.
And so, long story short, World Without Superheroes is coming back.
Yeah, well, we never left, but I was always working on it. But I did put out a volume 2 instead of doing the 12. Originally, it was going to be like issues 1 through 12. But after the 6th issue, I did a new number 6 because I never published the number 6 issue. I stopped at number 5, which is right there. That's the latest one that's out. I did do this one in 2018 because according to the contract, I had to keep it in publication every 3 years. So every 3 years since 2014, I was publishing small amounts of it to keep in agreement with the decision that we, So, but never in a big way. But now I could go through Diamond and all this other shit, and
That's good. And so the Felix verse will expand, and of course, you're still working with Tom Siaka, right?
So yeah, and we have an Astron issue we're working on, World Without Superheroes meets Astron, versus Astron Star Soldier.
Well, now because I was going to ask you this going into this. So, didn't some of the World Without Superheroes kind of meet Astron before? And wondering, is there a sequel coming for Trumpland?
Well, yeah, the Bronx Heroes. Actually, they're in the same universe, but the Bronx Heroes, yeah, technically the Bronx Heroes. When I came up with Bronx Heroes was during the lawsuit. So the introduction of Black Power was supposed to be an issue of a World Without Superheroes. But then I said, oh, we'll use it for Bronx Heroes 2.0.
Yeah.
So we already had a Bronx Heroes. So I created Bronx Heroes 2.0 too. So the Roach and Heavy Traffic were originally World Without Superhero characters.
I love Heavy Traffic.
So we have a 4-issue Heavy Traffic thing coming out hopefully by 2025. We're trying to get Ahern to finish it. He's been working on it for 2.5 years, and he worked backwards because we originally had the first 2 issues of Heavy Traffic published.
Okay.
But I wanted to have them redrawn, like remastered.
Okay.
So he originally did issues 3 and 4, and he finished them so quickly. I was like, oh, so why don't you do 2 and 1? So he did issue 2, and then we were working on number 1, but now he got kind of caught on number 1. So he hasn't finished it. So I've been trying to get him to do that. And then I want to basically reintroduce Heavy Traffic with with a new artist. It's the same story. The first 2 issues are the same, but you get the whole thing in one graphic novel under one assumed artist.
Gotcha.
One consistent look.
Gotcha.
And it's been like 2.5 years working on that.
Well, I remember listening during right before the pandemic, you had your big hit with Trumpland, and you sold a lot of Trumplands.
Yeah. We still got a lot more. I need to do more with during this election cycle because there'll be
and now the sequel or not, right?
I did work on a Biden sequel. I never put it out there because there was a lot of pushback, from some of my colleagues. They're like, "Oh, this is anti-democrat." I was like, you got to have it even. You got to play fair, right? You got to have it both ways. But now it's Harris, so I was like, "Oh, so maybe I could do something with Harris," but I just don't have the time to put it out. But with another artist to draw it, then it would come out faster,
Gotcha. But I mean, anybody that wants to get these, we'll just give a quick plug. Go to Bronx Heroes, BronxHeroesComicCon.com.
No, it's I do own BronxHeroes.com, but there's nothing there, so it's blank. So it's BXHCC.com, which is Bronx Heroes Comic Con, short BXHCC.
And they can get the whole Felix verse. And then I just want to touch on Astron too, because Tom Siaka created Astron many moons ago, right? And Astron is kind of crossed into the Felix verse now, right?
Yes. It's before Star Wars. The first Galaxia magazine has an advertisement for Star Wars coming soon.
Really?
That's how old it is.
and now there's Astron with your characters, which is great.
Yeah, and it was paid advertising. So Lucas, I guess, paid him to advertise Star Wars in his magazine because it was a sci-fi magazine back then.
Who knew what Star Wars was going to be?
Right, exactly. Not Buck Rogers. Well, basically, it is Buck Rogers. Flash Gordon. It's like
or Flash Gordon. No,
it's more Flash Gordon, but Flash Gordon is really Buck Rogers if you think about it.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
I just picked up the Filmation Flash Gordon series, which
I love those. Those are great. I used to have the action figures when I was a kid.
Did you really? Well, I'll show you this other crate. Talking classic shows and stuff. I just got this the other day too. I think our buddy Grazia likes this show. Brave Star.
Oh, I love that show too. I watched all those shows.
There's a movie.
Is it really?
Yeah, I guess it was never released in theaters, but it's on DVD. So there you go.
Live action?
No, animated. Oh, it came out after they did The Secret of the Sword. Filmation said, "Let's do a Brave Star movie." And it's like, okay, whatever.
Wow.
Yeah. So
was that around the time they released the G.I. Joe movie and the Transformers movie?
Probably around that time frame. My Little Pony movie, all those
yeah, I love all that stuff.
Toy movies.
We had the best cartoons because they had real stories. It's not like SpongeBob, which is about nothing.
I don't watch SpongeBob.
Most kids love that stuff. They love all these even Teen Titans Go. It's like, it's not George Perez's Teen Titans.
That's horrible.
Had that come out when we were kids, it would be the actual comics, I'm sure.
Yeah. And I don't even like the other one that they did, the regular Teen Titans. I didn't think that show was that great either.
Wait, let me put on the lights. Hold on a second.
Oh, what do you got? Bronx Heroes.
We got my massive toy collection here.
I thought you were gonna go get some. You're gonna get some hot toys out.
Turning the lights on, you can take a look.
There's the hot toy collection. Which Batwing is that?
That's the McFarlane.
Okay.
So you got all the Batmans there from all the theatricals. You got the Ben Affleck, you got the Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, and Adam West. And then you got all the Jokers there. You have
George Clooney.
They haven't released George Clooney. They just previewed that at the last San Diego con. They're going to release George Clooney. But I got Chris O'Donnell Robin there.
All right.
And then you have Cesar Romero, and you have all the Jokers there in that little pile there. And I made a bunch of customs too. Jesus. And then you got the other ones there, and then you got Darkseid over here. This is my little villains corner over here.
Let's go into this topic, right? So you're showing us. So you've done comics a long time, right?
Oh, God, yeah.
And I've been doing the Comic-Con circle, for probably 10, 15 years now at this point.
Yeah.
Right? Really like working on being on the other side of the table, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you see this industry going?
In the toilet. In the toilet.
Well, I mean, and you're out at San. You've been out to I haven't been to San Diego, but you've been out to San Diego. I do a lot of the. I mean, I don't do the New York and San Diego size shows, but I do a lot of the other bigger shows. Like I'm going up to a gaming con. And perfect example, I see that the convention world and I'll use Batman as the example.
Mhm.
The convention world has really moved on to now the world of cosplay.
Yep, and
And,
celebrities.
well, no,
Well, that's here in America. I mean,
well, I'm even taking the celebrities out of the picture. Cosplay is a huge thing,
right.
but the thing that but what the people are cosplaying are video game characters
Yep,
and anime characters.
yep.
Like
Which
people,
is what started cosplay. If you think about it, it was Star Trek, and then Japanese people went from Star Trek to anime.
yeah.
You
Well,
know,
because this is the thing I've noticed, and tell me if I'm wrong or right on this, right? So when we started doing conventions,
yeah.
it was
It was
guys
about
our age.
reading. It
It
was
was
about
guys,
reading.
it was guys our age, right? And it was a big deal. Now, mind you, a lot of the artists that we loved are not with us anymore.
True.
People have been passing away. Just Stan
Yeah.
Lee, Joe Sinnott, Neil Adams, all these guys.
Yeah,
Um,
George Perez, all those guys. Yeah.
correct, right? And now you go to a convention, and people aren't really like and the vendors are like, well, people aren't buying comics anymore because we had got first of all we got into this world of CGCing our comic books.
Yeah.
So you're not reading that. And I would say the majority of people who are digging through those boxes, the audience that go to these things, are guys our age or older.
Yep. And maybe they're kids.
Maybe.
Maybe.
But they don't. The kids don't want. They want the action figures, and they want to get the anime or the Funko Pops. That's
Yeah.
that's what they want.
Honestly, I think the industry is going to survive because it's really about the publishing companies, and as long as they're doing well, the industry will exist. But it's hard to gauge how it's going to be well because if you have an industry that's never claimed to make a profit ever, you just don't know. If you got an industry, even when it's healthy, they're saying they're crying poor man. You'll never know the truth of where it's at, but it'll always be there in some form. I think you're going to start having AI comics. I mean, DC already put out a Batman issue that was AI, and they had a Green Lantern with a Green Lantern cover that was AI. I mean,
Yeah, I didn't even know that.
yeah, it was a lot of like people were complaining about it, but I mean, but people only the fine eye can tell if you know what to look for.
Yeah, that's it. But it's interesting, and the comic industry has always gone up and down.
Well, in the movie studios, like a friend of mine, his work is being cut back because now they're using AI in the film studios, and they're going to go back on strike, and the writing. So AI is not going away, and the studios don't want to hire artists. They want to own the rights of actors' faces through CGI and AI. I mean, look at Darth Vader. He sold what's his name?
Hulk, right? James Earl Jones.
James Earl Jones sold his voice to Disney before dying, and he made a few $1 million for his voice. So Darth Vader will live forever because I guess he knew he was terminal. So he's
also in his 90s.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah. So James Earl Jones will forever be Darth Vader in voice.
Yeah.
Thanks to AI. So there's something good out of that. So if you're passing away, that's great. But if you're a living, working artist, actor, then you're screwed because they don't need you anymore. They got this computer to do everything for you.
Darth Vader will talk for generations to come. But no, I guess you're right. But it's just, and you talk about the movie studios too. I think, listen, there was a long period of time, and I think that's where the comics kind of thrived for the most part, was because the movies were doing very well.
Yeah. And now you're seeing a turn with these Joker movies and Agatha all along with their little singing intros, and it's like enough. I like Broadway shows, but I don't want to see Joker or Batman in a Broadway show. Just like people didn't want to see Spider-Man in a Broadway show.
Well, that's right. They did do that, didn't they?
Yeah, and it was horrible. Just like people don't want to see Rocky in a Broadway show. It's like.
So, wait, thoughts. So you saw the first Joker movie. Let's talk Joker, right? And you saw a little bit of this new one. We won't go into like spoilers about it. But what did you think of the first Joker movie? Was it Joker to you?
Like they said in Living Color, hated it. I didn't like that movie. There were aspects that I did like, but the aspects that I liked were actually stolen from Taxi Driver and the King of Comedy.
Gotcha.
Verbatim.
Yeah, no doubt. No. Well, because especially how far did you watch this new one? Because you said that you were able to watch
the first half hour.
What did you think of the first half hour?
It's just it drags. You're like for a sequel. Honestly, it opened up slow. It drags. They introduced Harley Quinn. She's not a psychiatrist. She's just another patient. And then it's like they just all of a sudden have this romantic thing. It's like, what? I mean, the thing that people think is most iconic is the whole scene where he's going like this. But
Yeah.
that's Robert De Niro in Taxi Driver,
Yeah.
you know? And it's like, and then De Niro's role is basically Rupert, right? Rupert was a sociopath in the
Yeah.
King's Comedy. And it's almost like you're in Rupert's dream and Joaquin Phoenix's dream simultaneously.
Yeah. Well, and I like how you mentioned that too, because and the first one, I it's hard to decipher what's real and what's reality in those films.
Right. And with the whole thing, with what they deleted, I don't know if you remember this, but when they were filming that movie in the Bronx in my old neighborhood, and I was still working for the Board of Ed at that point. I didn't retire yet.
Yeah.
Um, but they had the 66 Batmobile in that movie. They filmed it where there were scenes where Joker was riding, and they shot scenes in New Jersey as well. They had a clean version of the Batmobile where he was driving it around, like reenacting those scenes with Heath Ledger in the police car. And then they had a beat up version that had like mounted metal plates on it that they fucked up. Basically, they bought a Batmobile and fucked it up with metal plates and shit. And Joaquin Phoenix was supposed to be a fan. The original plot was that he was a fan in a mass hallucination. It was not meant to be realistic. He was a fan of the Batman TV show, and he thought he was idolizing Cesar Romero and acting out Cesar Romero's Joker. They did a test screening. It did badly. They went to reshoots, and then you got the movie that you got. Because at the end, the original ending was that he kills Bruce Wayne with the family.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it was already a slap in the face to the fans. And it was more commentary. It was more like an homage to the TV show than to the comics, you know. But they deleted those scenes. I even got footage, like news footage. I downloaded it somewhere where you see the Batmobile on a truck under Jerome Avenue by the Fort Train, where they shot that scene at the Dunkin' Donut, which is now a Starbucks. But so, so yeah. The movie was never meant to be part of it. And remember, Scorsese was attached to it.
Yeah.
After they changed it, Scorsese removed his name from it. And then he went on that rampage about comic book movies being shit and trite. But yet he just filmed one with Todd Phillips, right?
Yeah.
So I guess he didn't like the decisions that they made, since his thing was more about the TV show.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know if he was a producer or what, but originally they were saying that he was directing it, right?
I believe so, yeah.
So I think he directed part of that film, and then he just removed his name from it. So then Todd Phillips' name just stayed on it. Maybe Todd Phillips was the understudy, but clearly they had no. Usually a movie has more than one director.
Yeah. Well, I also read a scene I saw online today. I guess the original movie was going to end with him cutting his face, kind of like Heath Ledger was.
Yes.
And at that point, Christopher Nolan was still under the Warner Brothers paycheck, and he told them they can't do that. So
you're not touching my baby, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and is Arthur Fleck the Joker? I don't know.
I hope not. The original film, if you remember, before Joaquin Phoenix was on there, the whole story behind Joaquin Phoenix was that Joaquin Phoenix and Jared Leto had the same agents, and the agency, I guess, because Will Smith is so powerful, Will Smith was talking trash about Jared Leto's behavior on set, that he kind of demonized him in these interviews before the Suicide Squad came out. And that's what led them to cut all the Joker scenes. They shot over 2 hours of footage.
Yeah, there's like a director's edition that hopefully
and that's very like minuscule of what they showed there. But apparently, they had Wonder Woman in that movie. They cut her out.
Really?
Gal Gadot was originally in that film, apprehending Slipknot. They removed her from the film because this is before Wonder Woman dropped, and they were like, "Oh, we can't have this," Yeah. But they were supposed to show like the forming of the Justice League, right?
Yeah.
And then you had Batman fighting Killer Croc. They deleted that.
Mm-hmm.
They had the whole origin story of the Moon Mistress. They got rid of that, and they basically chopped up the movie into like a music video, which is what we got in the theater. And they had the mad love story where Batman knocks out Joker's teeth, and that's why he has those grills.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they when the movie was released, Jared Leto was releasing all this footage, and there was scenes of him with bloody teeth dangling off his mouth, and so there was a Batman Joker fight that we never got to see. There was a longer story of Harley Quinn and Joker, which was basically Paul Dini's Mad Love. They got rid of all that. And then they promised them that they were going to do a Joker versus Harley Quinn movie where they were going to somehow readdress those scenes and do another film with them, right?
Yeah.
And then that gets killed because of Will Smith, who just got sued for $40 million by Chris Rock. He had to pay for that slap. But I don't understand. Will Smith is a terrible actor. He's a horrible singer. I don't understand why he has so much.
Did you not like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Ray?
No, I was not a fan. Well, quite a few episodes, but I was not a fan. And I think I think Charlton was the sister was hot, and was it not Charlton? What was his name? The brother Carlton. So I saw maybe the first 2 seasons, and it was not for Will Smith. It was for Carlton and the hot sister. Jeez. You know, so
funny, right?
I could care less about Will Smith. You know,
but you know the DC movies. You know, like DC has not. I mean, outside of the original Superman flicks. You know, and, I mean, really, and listen, say what you will about the 4 Batman flicks, but those were solid Batman flicks for what they were.
Not like, George Clooney's though.
but you know what? You go back and you watch George Clooney, but it's fun. That's just entertaining.
It is. I like George Clooney as an actor. Actually, I really like him, but I think the script was really.
Well, I agree. But the movie's just fun. It goes by quickly. You know, like you get right into the action of it. There's no.
Chill out. I can't.
My name is Freeze. Remember it. What is name?
I can't. You know what's funny? When I was younger, I took all those movies.
Yeah.
And I deleted. I made a master tape.
Okay.
And I deleted all the scenes I hated out of the movie. So I took about maybe like an hour and a half out of all the 4 movies, and then I spliced it all together, and that's the only way I could watch the film.
Oh,
so no neon gangsters.
Oh, God.
No.
But Batman. What about Batman Returns? That's a solid movie.
You know, it's funny. I didn't like that one either.
Yeah, I think for me. That's my favorite one.
I liked Pee Wee Herman.
He's in it for like 2 seconds. He doesn't count.
I liked Catwoman.
Well, Catwoman was good. Solid character.
Who cannot like Christopher Walken? Christopher Walken was great. You know, I love Michael Keaton. But again, the story, Batman putting a grenade in someone's pants and throwing them off the roof was like too much for me.
Solid.
And I hated Danny DeVito's character. And I love Danny DeVito, but the way with the fish hands and stuff and the giant rubber ducks, I don't know. He looked like Alice Cooper to me. I don't know. I was like...
well, so since we're talking about these Batman movies, what about the Michael Keaton's return in The Flash?
Yawn. You know what I did after watching those movies?
Cried.
I bought the entire set of McFarlane figures. It cost me like $585 to get everything, right? Because I couldn't get everything. The pre-orders are sold out individually, just to get this bloody plane. So as soon as I saw that movie, I put everything on sale on eBay. Got rid of it. And nobody wanted it at that point because they saw the film, they heard the reviews. I was stuck with it until I went to like a small show in Co-op City and got rid of half of it.
Everybody was so excited for that too. Remember, it's like, oh, Michael Keaton is back, and it's just like,
again, it's like
they killed him.
You know, the original movie was supposed to have Cyborg and Batman and the Flash, and they were doing the actual Flashpoint story with Thomas Wayne as Batman, and they scrapped it.
Well, and also there's a whole scene at the end that once they got rid of
Michael Keaton at the end.
Michael Keaton and Supergirl were going to show up at the end.
Yeah.
And that was going to then lead into
the Batgirl. Yeah.
Which again, going back to this whole Joker movie, right?
Yeah.
So Warner Bros. Like this Zaslav, right? And I see Tom's always commenting about it, which is hilarious. Tom has like a vendetta with the guy.
Well, it's funny because Tom loved the guy when he brought back Henry Cavill, and then when they got rid of him, he hated him again. He was like,
But
which again, I don't even understand that. It's like The Rock and all this, and it's like, and not that Black Adam was far from a perfect picture, but it was Black Adam's first movie. You have nothing to judge it on except for the serial. And actually, if you watch the Shazam serial, a lot of the scenes that they used in the Black Adam movie were taken from the Shazam serial.
Yeah, and I thought Black Adam was a solid flick. I didn't think it was a horrible movie.
I don't think it was a horrible movie. I just felt like you could tell that it was rewrote. They went to reshoots so many times, and that they fired half the cast and recasted them. That's why the movie. So it's like, and they were originally going to have Stargirl in the picture, and then they changed the script. So they're literally, the way these movies are made today, it's almost like they're rewriting on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So it's almost like they're working the film and rewriting it as it's in production. Bad. That's a mistake.
That's the thing. But what the thing about Joker, like I was saying, is so they Zaslav scrapped a bunch of movies at Warner Brothers back.
Yeah.
And movies I've done and seen. So obviously Batgirl, which was completed.
Yeah.
Then the Scooby-Doo Christmas movie that they were doing. And then everybody's talking about Coyote versus Acme, which I guess was done too. So these were like the three big things that were done, right? And they put all their ducks in line for this Joker sequel. And I read this weekend that Terrifier 3 is slated to kill Joker this weekend.
Well, you want to know something?
What's that?
Good.
I thought you had some revelation.
WB slashed 11 pictures. And you know where the money went? Because he was saying, "Oh, they're bleeding in debt. We need to
write up their pay off their debts or whatever."
No, it went to their shareholders' pockets. And Zaslav gave himself a raise. So they cancel these movies so that the board members can get their raises.
Interesting.
Even though they advertised and said all this stuff about, oh yeah, we're in debt, we're bleeding debt. No movie in Hollywood ever, just like the comic book industry, ever says, hey, we made a profit. No, they claim losses and they get federal government, our tax dollars for those crap movies that don't make money. They get that money in return.
Like Joker. But I think we live in a world that I think at some point somebody has a copy of Batgirl that's out there.
Oh, yeah, sure, without a doubt.
And one day
it'll appear in the comic book convention.
next to the what you call it, Roger Corman Fantastic Four movie, right?
Well, you know what? It's like, I think the actress is cute, but when they said they canceled it, I was like, thank God. It's like, I just can't, I know nostalgia-wise, Michael Keaton, people love Michael Keaton, but honestly, I was working at a comic book store. I don't know. I might have said this story 100 times. I was working at a comic book store when we sold tickets to the Batman movie. We rented a theater in the Whitestone Cineplex for all of our customers, and we sold out for the Batman movie. So we rented it. We had the first showing. It was at 7:30 in the morning.
Jesus Christ.
On a Saturday. Comic book store was closed because everyone was going to see Batman anyway. And all our customers were there. And I remember dressed as a Joker. I wore all black, but I had the Joker painted face. I had a leather hat with a Batman button on it. There was a comic book that Alan Davis did where Joker was dressed as a tuxedo driver or something like that.
Okay.
I was dressed as like a chauffeur, but as a Joker. And I was welcoming people into the show dressed that way. I remember sitting down watching it. We were so excited, cheering when the opening with the bat signal, and then the animated sequence, and then we saw Fat Jack Nicholson, and we were like, "What the fuck?"
I will. That's why I said earlier I like Batman Returns. For me, like, listen, did I in 1980, summer of '89, did I see Batman? Did I get my Batman and did I get my Joker and Bob the Goon action figures? I sure did.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, this is great. I love Batman. But for me, Batman Returns was a much more solid flick because I I was never a I still to this day am not a Jack Nicholson fan. Period. Everybody's like, "Oh, this guy is the best guy." I really don't care about Jack Nicholson. I love movies.
Jack Nicholson. You know
What?
Jack Nicholson plays Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, and it's just like I fine, okay, but he wasn't the Joker to me.
No, he's not. He was the Joker that needed a serious Weight Watchers diet. And get this, I love Joaquin Phoenix. I was a diehard River Phoenix fan, his brother. And Joaquin, whose real name is Leaf, that's his legal name, is Leaf Phoenix. He's a good actor. I like him in everything. I even like the Napoleon film he was in. I think he did a good job as the Joker, but I hate that fucking makeup. It's like
the diamond thing in his face.
It's like, and the premise that Joker wears makeup drives me insane because he doesn't wear makeup. That's why I prefer the Jared Leto and Jack Nicholson, because they fell into the vat and they bleached their skin. At least they're not perfect Jokers, but they follow the comic book story, you know.
What about your Heath Ledger Joker? Thoughts on him?
Don't care for it.
I was not. Everybody loves the Nolan movies. Oh, Christopher. No.
Joaquin Phoenix and Heath Ledger are basically an ode to Cesar Romero, who was a painted Joker.
Yes, with his mustache.
Yeah, even the mask that he wore in the beginning of the crime scene, that was from the first episode of the Batman TV show.
Yeah.
And also why I don't like Heath Ledger's Joker, because someone pointed out on Comic Swipes on Facebook that shot for shot, the whole scene with the Joker, most of the shots that they shot with Heath Ledger were right out of The Crow. Same camera angles, same shots, same scenario. The only difference is he didn't jump on a table and started shooting everyone. But
I think with going to that movie, I think, and listen, whatever. Batman Begins was mediocre at best for me when I came out. You know, again, we just got off of George Clooney. You know, which and that whole Tim Burton, Joel Schumacher world of Batman, and we had the cartoon, right? We were living in that world, and then the Nolan flicks came out, and I was like, okay, it's okay. You know,
yeah, it was okay. I mean,
and then Heath Ledger died, and then all of a sudden everybody's like, oh, this is the best Batman movie ever. Oh, look at it's so Jesus Christ, and your Batmobile. But and the voice that he did on that, he's just screaming at everybody.
I hated his voice, and his mask looked like a squirrel. He looked like Squirrel Man.
I can't even do the voice. It hurts my throat. Oh no, you know, Christian Bale, go back to singing in Newsies.
Okay? Yeah, he shouldn't have done that voice. I actually liked Batman Begins. The second one, Also, the scene that Joker did where the motorcycle's going towards him, and he's like, "Come on and hit me," like, you know, and people are like, "Oh, that was a great scene." No, that's from a commercial. There was a commercial of a kid riding his bike speeding, and another kid standing there and screams, "Come on and hit me!" It was the same scene.
Oh my God.
I forgot what the product was, but it was like some Skittles or something like that. It was like a popular commercial that they played on MTV hundreds of times in the 90s.
Interesting.
And then he gets smacked with the bike. Oh it's like about like some candy product or something gives you strength or makes you tough, and he literally gets whacked with the bicycle. And what's up with Hollywood that Batman can't fly a plane, he can't ride a motorcycle, and he can't drive a car because he crashes them in every single flick. That's like this rich kid never learned how to drive. That's like
I didn't need to be an Alfred.
Yeah.
And I didn't like Michael Caine as Alfred either.
And I love Michael Caine, but I thought he was a shitty Alfred. You know,
I've lost enough people in this house. I'm not going to lose another one.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, come on. Yeah. To go back and play Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
but you see, but I did like Ben Affleck as Batman.
I did.
Maybe the movies weren't great.
Jeremy Irons as Alfred.
I bought that. That was fine. Everybody, although I know you love Zack Snyder's 4-hour, 3-hour Justice League.
Oh my God! You want to know why?
Why?
The Daily News said it best.
Mm-mm.
DC comic book movies, like Zack Snyder's films specifically, are for adults.
Somebody wrote here, somebody wrote Marvel Cinematic Universe makes a lot of profit.
It does, but it's really for kids. It's really,
Not the last Guardians movie. That last Guardians movie was dark. It was horrible.
It was awful. And then also, I don't even think they wrote a script for that film. I think they were just saying whatever, or ad-libbing, like method acting, everybody.
Yeah.
It's like, but even
Like she wrote Deadpool and Wolverine. But you know what? Deadpool and Wolverine. You know what? It was fun. It was okay. But Deadpool. It was not. But
it was a funny movie. But if you don't grab the kids, right? I'm not judgmental of Marvel. I guess I'm more forgiving with the Marvel films, right? Because I was never really a big Marvel fan. The movies are better than the comics. With DC, I was such a diehard Batman fan, Superman, Green Lantern, everything, Justice League, the Vertigo stuff, everything. Like, people love that Doom Patrol show. I think it's trash.
I haven't watched it. I couldn't get into Titans.
Titans, trash. I've seen all the seasons except for the last one, but I can't just ignore it. Just like, oh, they didn't do that. The Scarecrow with the Lazarus Pit in Arkham Asylum. No.
What they did on Doom?
Arkham, with the Red Hood origin, they had Scarecrow, not Ra's al Ghul, resurrects Jason Todd in the basement of Arkham Asylum with a Lazarus Pit. What? It's like, they don't want to write a check to Denny O'Neil? It's like, just give him a check. How much is it going to cost? It's like,
Well, I'm going to be controversial. Of the Zack Snyder verse flicks.
Yeah.
You know which one I can tolerate probably more than anything?
What, Batman versus Superman?
No.
I hated their Lex Luthor, but if you look at the reviews, everyone loved Lex Luthor and they hated everybody else.
I liked Wonder Woman 1984.
Me too. I didn't like the ending though, but I did like the film.
But you know why I think it was?
No. I liked 1984. Actually, I liked the whole movie. That's the second one.
The second one.
I did like it because I already knew that I was like, oh, Zack Snyder's out. They're gonna just do an homage of the TV show. That was already, I did like that film.
Because you know what it was? It was exactly what we knew from our childhood. It had that movie was like a Christopher Reeve movie, whatever. It was great.
Was it corny? Yes. Was it Maxwell? Was that? But one thing, everything that was what's his name? Maxwell Lord. Is that what his name is?
And shake my hand and tell me what you wish for.
So my only beef with that film is that was Dr. Destiny.
Gotcha.
With the stone and the powers, that's Dr. Destiny. And they turned Dr. Maxwell Lord into Dr. Destiny, which, you got it. I never bought it.
Of course.
But that's the thing, is that's my only beef, is that why didn't they do Dr. Destiny? It's his powers. It's who he is. His body's deteriorating. Because Dr. Destiny was like the original Skeletor. He-Man stole Skeletor's look. Dr. Destiny. Take a look at this. Look at this.
What do we got? Who is that?
They got.
Oh, there she is. Dun, 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 dun.
I even got.
I wasn't crazy.
Batnerson, which I can't stand.
Let's not even get started on that Batman movie. That's a horrible Batman movie too.
Horrible.
What about the Riddler in that? Jesus Christ.
We got the Riddler there. So.
Well, that at least Jim Carrey played a good Riddler.
Oh, he did. You got Two-Face, both Two-Faces.
The Riddler in the Batman movie. Oh my God! I don't even own. So here's the superhero movies I don't own. I don't own Joker, and I don't own the Batman.
Me neither. The Batman, I got. You want to know why?
It's too long.
No. I purchased it. You know why?
Why?
I got it for $5.
Oh, that's okay.
On
Then.
Black Friday. It was like a Black Friday thing. I got $5
that-
and then Deadpool 2, which I can't stand Deadpool. But it was a $5 movie. I couldn't give it up. I was like, well, watch it and get rid of it.
Yeah, because honestly, like even the Deadpool movies don't do it for me.
No. Yeah. I really hated that new Deadpool Wolverine movie. Did I laugh? Sure. It was funny. I'm not gonna take that away. It's a funny movie. But they show all these great Wolverines, right? Like this little like eye candy. Why don't you tell us the stories? Those are great stories. But no, and that's the problem with Hollywood. Hollywood's all about iconography. They don't know anything about content, It's just like people probably shoot me down for this, but they don't make great movies anymore like fucking Gone with the Wind or Lawrence of Arabia. Stories, right? Stories like that teach you something. Like you leave the theater knowing stuff. Or even like Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Like you leave the movie.
You didn't like Dial of Destiny?
Yeah. I did like it. The new one, I was okay with it. I just like to see. But I'm not that
80-year-old
yeah. But they already had that. Remember the TV show?
Of course.
Young Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones was an old man telling the stories when he was a kid.
I know.
So it's kind of like
which when they released them, they cut those scenes out. Do I even have? Oh, I don't have them.
They cut those scenes out on the DVDs.
They turned them into movies. They cut like 2 episodes together. Yeah, they cut him out.
I thought that was brilliant. That was
good. The only one that they did the flashback one was the Harrison Ford episode. Yeah,
that's too bad. But
because I think George and what happened. I understand the story behind that was George Lucas. When they were doing this, it was after Last Crusade, and Last Crusade was the end. But then I think George Lucas, after they had produced this, and then it came out at the world of DVD and other things, George Lucas is like, him and Spielberg, we may not be done with it yet. So we don't want to pigeonhole him into this 90-year-old man.
Well, George Lucas should have been working on episode 6 and 7 instead of Jar Jar Binks. He should have been working on Heir to the Empire back in the 2000s. That's what everyone expected to see in the theater, and instead we got schlock.
But I will in defense of George Lucas, I can go back and watch episode 1, 2, and 3. Episode 1 is hard.
That one's hard. That's like watching Blues Brothers 2, 2000.
Oh my God.
You know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
2000. But because it's John Goodman, the black guy, and the kid.
Yeah.
I forget. But no, episode 2 and 3 I like. I enjoy those more now.
Yeah, I just, it's funny. I liked when Christopher Hayden, is that his name?
Hayden Christensen.
Yeah, nobody cares, but I think that's that guy. I really liked him in the Ahsoka picture and the Kenobi. I like that they reprised him as Darth Vader.
It was good. Yeah,
good.
Listen, and
I hated him as a whiny brat kid. I'm sorry. I was just like, the dark side shouldn't be whiny brats. I don't know.
And that was mostly episode 2. Episode 3, I thought with episode 3, I can go back and watch anytime. It's a solid movie. It's a fast movie, and there's a lot going on in that movie. But his fall comes very quickly, and then once they start he starts killing people, it's great. And then that whole battle scene, you're the chosen one.
Yeah, you were supposed to. Well, I did. I killed them all.
Well, democracy.
Yeah. Well, that was remember that was a time when we were in the war in Iraq, so that was very allegorical to the being in Iraq and Afghanistan as well, and George Bush.
I didn't realize that. But no, I mean, I think 2 and 3 were solid. Episode 1, and I can go watch the new trilogy. It's okay. It's whatever. It is what it is. It exists.
I always find it funny when people say you shouldn't make Star Wars political. It's like it's about war. Wars politics.
Did you watch The Acolyte?
I liked it.
I liked it too.
I don't know what people's beef is about. I mean, you know, I'll just tell you straight up. Most of my family are Republican. Almost all of them. They're very Christian.
Yeah.
And they're very male chauvinistic, and they don't want to see anything with a woman in charge of anything. So it's like,
I feel it's a solid show.
Simple.
I know they're trying to bring it back. We'll see if it happens.
Well, apparently the actress, I don't know which one it was, but I think it was the lead actress, wrote something on Twitter making fun of the show or dissing the show, and then
I don't know.
She was fired or something like that before it even aired.
Oh, I know there's a problem with her. I don't know if it was that though.
Yeah, that's I believe that's what it was.
Interesting. Yeah, I'll have to look that up.
So even I don't think it had anything to do with the ratings. It basically became a one-off because she became unpopular on Twitter, you know, for whatever statement she made. You know,
and I like Solo. Solo was a good movie.
I thought Solo was a great film, and you know, people complain about it. They're like, Empire Strikes Back is the only good Star Wars movie. Well, guess what? Solo was written by the guy who wrote Empire Strikes Back with his son.
Yeah.
I thought it was great. I love Donald Glover as Lando. He's going to have his own show, a Lando show.
Hopefully it happens. Who knows? That's the problem. There's too much content. Is there too much Star Wars now? Is there too much superheroes? Yes. Yes.
I want more Star Wars.
No. No. Are you serious?
I want them to do Heir of the Empire. They never do it exactly to it, but I want to see it in Ahsoka season 2.
No,
I don't care about Boba Fett or.
I think it's going to be a movie. I think it's going to be a movie.
That's what they said. They said they're basically what they're leading Acolyte, Ahsoka.
Because they're not doing another season of Mandalorian.
Right, Mandalorian. It's all these characters that they're introducing are supposed to be in like a 3-hour film coming in together, where they're all together.
Well, not the Acolyte. Won't be the Acolyte.
Well, not now because it canceled.
Well, no, the Acolyte also takes place like 1,000 years before.
Oh, it's a prequel.
It's a prequel.
It's a pre-prequel. We had the prequel. Now this is the pre to the pre.
Like 1,000 or 100 years before episode 1. So, those characters won't be in that movie.
But I liked that one. I thought that was really good.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I thought it was good too. No, because they're doing The Mandalorian and Grogu's coming to theaters.
Right. Yes.
And then I think they're doing Heir to the Empire, and then they're doing another movie with Rey.
Yeah, they're doing another trilogy with Rey. God, stop while they can. That I could do. I could live without.
Maybe it'll be good. Maybe it'll be a good thing.
Well, you know what it is? It's like Disney made one fatal mistake. They were pandering to the wrong audience. And I'm not going to get political here, but think about it. Star Trek was a TV show. Star Trek came out with the first movie, boring as hell, but it had the original crew. They did a second movie, much better. Third, fourth, fifth. Then they stopped. Then they came back again. Oh, we got Generations. And then, you know, leading into the next generation TV show. And then they had the Generation films. Star Wars Episode 7, whether they followed the novels or not, when they brought back the original cast, that original cast should have been the main focus of the story. They should have been together. And the kids could have been like what carries on for the next 8, 9, whatever. But you don't put back an ensemble cast and make them the bit characters. You know, the extras. They made them the extras. You know, it's like.
Well, no, I mean, I think the way that they were introduced in the first one, and I mean, whatever, they killed Han Solo, but I think the way that they were introduced, where Force Awakens ends, so obviously Han's dead, fine, and we can accept that. Han died, but Leia is the general, and then Luke is on that island because remember that last scene with Luke is pretty impressive. Like before we get into The Last Jedi, when we see her give him that lightsaber at the end of the movie, you're psyched. You're like, oh shit, this is going to be awesome when we come back for the next movie now because Luke's back in the fold, right? And then we see where he just chucks it over his side. That's where it went downhill. And I mean, listen, there were a lot of other things that happened, unfortunately, like with Carrie Fisher and stuff that killed him. Because you look at what you think of the Ghostbuster movies, Afterlife and Frozen Empire?
I didn't finish Frozen Empire. I started it. It didn't hold my attention, but I think The Afterlife was great.
But you see what they did in that movie. I mean, obviously the Egon was the focus, but the original guys were the bit players in that movie, right? And then
Yeah, but at the same time, it was
it was its own thing.
it was his own thing, but I think it balanced out very well.
Yeah, and then people either love or hate Frozen Empire. Like you said, it wasn't for you, but like for me,
I haven't finished watching it. I literally watched 10 minutes and turned it off. I had
oh,
to do something.
well, and again, not spoiler because you already know what happens in this movie for the most part. So those guys who are the bit players, like Dan Aykroyd and Ernie Hudson, have really juicy parts in Frozen Empire. So they were bit players in Afterlife, but now they're not the main stars, but they're right up there with the main stars, which is what they should have done with the original trilogy characters. You know,
Yeah.
so you have the new things kind of coaching the other guys.
I mean, these people were all old. This was their last shot to get it right. And then that guy, that the second movie, The Last Jedi, they messed up because apparently J.J. Abrams wrote the second episode 8.
Yeah.
And I forget the name of the director who did the Glass Onion.
Ryan Johnson or something like that.
Good director, but he just chucked that script out and then just went on his own. And the thing is that these people don't respect each other's work. Same thing with Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck wrote a Batman film.
He did.
Wanted to direct it, but then he says, if I'm going to act in it, I'm not going to direct it. So he recommends this other guy. And then the other guy throws his script out and throws him out and gets Patterson. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
It's like I just got you a job to direct my movie with my script that I wrote, and then you go behind my back to the studio and say, I don't want to do this. I want to take it.
That's Hollywood.
And the same thing with Superman. Kevin Smith wrote a script for Superman with what's his face? Yeah. Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
He says, I need this guy who did the first Batman movie to direct it. He says Kevin Smith is garbage. He's not a good writer. Throws Kevin Smith out. Does his own script, and that gets thrown out, and the movie's never made. So there's a lot of cutthroats, a lot of throats.
Well, we got a little bit of that in the end of the Flash, right?
Yeah, Flash, the Flash trash movie.
The trash. That's what it's called, the trash.
The Flash has been around long enough where we should have been introduced to his characters, his villains, and we didn't need Justice League in it. It would
Justice League movie. You're right.
He could have been his own property. Come on, look at your guy, the original TV show guy. Now, I wasn't crazy about that show, but compared to the last show that came out, it was way better. I mean, it's like, what's his name again? Your main Flash. Flash, yeah, John Wesley Ship. What was it? Our Days of Our Lives, or was it General Hospital that he was in originally?
One of those shows.
So I remember him as a kid because my sisters used to watch his soap operas. I grew up with a lot of women in the house, so his face was all over TV. But when he became Flash, I remember the 2-hour episode. It was awesome.
It was good.
There were some issues that it's a cop, there was the brother, but overall, I could watch that 100 times. I know when it came out, I recorded it on VHS and before TiVo. And I watched that 1,000,000 times,
For TiVo, Jesus Christ.
It's like I got the DVDs.
I was going to say, do you have the DVDs?
It's like I told John Wesley Ship when I met him at Great Adventures.
Great guy.
You're the real Flash because the Flash doesn't cry.
Well, but here's the other problem that Warner Brothers made. They they had a solid thing going with the Arrowverse on TV.
Why'd they let that go? I don't understand.
Well, the problem was, instead of saying, cool, we have Green Arrow, we have the Flash, we have Supergirl, why don't we just bring these people into with Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill,
right?
And we have, because
you got a solid fan base already,
and we have our story building. So here's your storylines. Right. So now they're going to join the big boys on the big screen now.
Right.
Because figure like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, those are your big hitters, which is why they're in the movies.
And I actually prefer Grant Gustin over whatever that pedophile's name is. What's his name? Something Miller or whatever. I don't remember.
Ezra Miller.
Ezra Miller.
But I think Grant Gustin would have fit in fine with all those characters.
And they already introduced them together, so it would have made sense that instead of having Ezra Miller as two separate Flashes, it would have made sense that he was in the TV show Flash's world or something.
Yeah.
Because the basic premise of Flashpoint, the comic book series, which I wasn't crazy about, it wasn't like something to write home about, but when he changed time,
he
erased himself from the timeline. There is no Flash in the alternate timeline. There's everybody else.
Yeah.
But there is no Flash. He unmade himself. So, but if you introduce another Flash, a younger Flash or whatever, why not do the Arrowverse?
It should have been.
Because guess what? They would have made $1 billion plus. Because you already have 10 years of Flash fans that committed themselves weekly to watching that show. It's a no-brainer, just like Smallville. They messed that up. Remember that kid? Well, he messed it up, but he was supposed to be Superman Returns.
Yeah.
And then he messed it up. He didn't want to be typecast and quit because he used to be such a big actor. All right. It's like, what's his name? It's like, and I like Brandon Ruth, but that didn't last because people from the Smallville fan base was like, well, who is this guy?
Well, that's the problem, is that DC has reinvented themselves and their characters and their actors too many times over and over again.
Right. And the thing is that people were waiting for the Smallville Superman movie for Clark Kent to become Superman. And they already had it in the air that it was going to be theatrical, that he was going to transition from the TV show to the movies.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen. So they should have learned in Smallville. They didn't learn in Smallville.
Well,
then they should have learned with the Flash. They didn't learn with the Flash. And then they didn't learn with Batman. I mean, Patterson's movie did okay, but it didn't do as great as it could have.
I'm not watching The Penguin. Are you watching The Penguin?
You want to know something?
Oh, no. No. That's what you're going to say. $5.
It's better than the Batman movie. I actually like it a lot.
Really?
And I am not a Colin Farrell fan.
Yeah.
But he is so damn good. You can't resist. It's a good film. And it takes place immediately after the Batman film.
Gotcha. I can't.
It's not an origin story, you know?
But he's not the Penguin. That's not what the Penguin is like. The Penguin's not Tony Soprano.
No, but the Penguin is not in a top hat with an umbrella either. He's not a woman. He's not a woman, right?
Right. Dude, I didn't want. Dude, here's the problem with all these things. Too much content. There you go. See, look at all this. Like we just threw out all just Batman alone. Look at all this Batman content that is out there right now.
Oh, I can't see the comments. Let me see if I can look at these things.
Some people this is Ara song. She's talking about. I don't know if she's still watching or not, but she just knowing Batman movies are good at vengeance. But yeah, no, there's too much Batman. That's the other problem. I had this conversation. We had this conversation with a guy we know out in California a while ago. And this is Warner Brothers' problem. But even at this point now, I'm gonna even look and see. The problem
they don't have ideas.
Well, if it's Batman or Scooby Doo, it's just printing money. But even they kind of like.
And what's up with this Velma thing? I just found out about that. Like what?
Yes.
Who? And Scooby Doo's not even in it. What?
That's old news. The show's over and done already.
I know. That's what I just got HBO Max.
Welcome, Ray, because the show came out 2 years ago and it already was canceled.
Is it 2 years old already?
About that, yeah.
Wow. Well, good, because it was like crap. I couldn't even turn it on. I was like, I click on Scooby Doo, and I'm like, you want me to accept a world without Scooby Doo?
Yeah, well, I mean, and listen, as its own alternate universe thing, it was fine. It's stupid.
I don't want to sound sexist, but you can't have a Harley Quinn movie without Joker, and clearly you cannot have a Joker movie.
They did have one,
though. Huh?
It did though.
I know, it was horrible. It was horrible.
What's her name is not. What's her name is not Harley Quinn. Even to me too. Was it Margot Robbie or whatever her name is? Right?
Yeah. It's like the only thing I liked about that film was
watch it again.
The Huntress's origin was the correct one. It was the mafia story that was from the reboot in the 80s.
Okay.
They would have been better off. You know, there was a TV show I hated when I was growing up called Birds of Prey. I don't know if you ever seen it. But I watched that show recently. I bought the DVD about 2 years ago.
I have it somewhere here too.
And that show is better than everything they've put out in the last 10 years. And what's funny is that Smallville has borrowed from that show. Supergirl has borrowed plot lines from that show.
Yeah.
The Flash, the Arrowverse borrowed plot lines from that show. And that was not a great show, but in comparison to what they're putting out now, that show was brilliant. You know, just like I was not a fan of Lois and Clark, but guess what I'm watching?
Lois and Clark. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear
that. Lois and Clark, but guess what? I have learned as a 50-year-old to love Lois and Clark.
Lois and Clark. Wow.
And I hated that show because we had John Byrne's Superman, and they gave us Lois and Clark. But
also, that was the only Superman that was to watch at the time too. That's why you watched.
And so now, as an adult, I can look at these shows on HBO Max, and I'm like, "Hey, this is Superman."
I honestly, I can't believe you're watching Lois and Clark. I think that's hilarious.
I'm desperate because everything else is garbage. The Blue Beetle, trash. Shazam, trash.
The first Shazam movie was good. I like the first one.
No, I actually like the second one better than the first.
I can't believe
the first one was really just Tom Hanks' big.
Yeah,
it was a sequel.
I think it's hilarious and that you admitted here in public that you're watching Lois and Clark.
Lois and Clark, and my wife is like looking at me. She just said, like, she was just watching. I was just watching. She says it every time. I was watching Lois and Clark. She's like, "Why are you watching that stupid show? Don't you have anything else to do with your time?"
How far into it are you? Did you get to the episode with the Jeffersons yet? It's like a Christmas episode.
That's the episode I remember the most. I'm actually looking for it. I can't remember that. What season was that?
I have no idea.
I'm in season 1 still, like in maybe season 10 or episode 10 or 12.
Let's see. I'm gonna look this up.
But that's whenever it was on TV. Now I love George Jefferson, right? But this is before like you could record television, right? So if you missed the episode, you missed it.
Oh, you could record on your VHS.
VHS, right? If you had a VHS player, but you had to be there.
They were the bad guys in the episode. Holy shit.
They're the bad guys, yeah. So when I was growing up, the only episode I saw 3 times was that episode, because in the summertime is when they did the reruns, and every time Lois and Clark was on, I loved George Jefferson, but I was like, I hate this show. What is going on?
So here we go. Oh, I see. It's the second season episode called Season's Greetings.
Okay, I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna watch it.
He plays Winslow Schott, who is the Toy Man.
Oh, he plays the Toy Man. Oh.
He's the Toy Man.
I love.
She's his assistant in that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Does he call her Wheezy in that?
I probably doubt it. I doubt it.
That's the only episode in the 90s. Whenever that show was on, they always had that episode on. I'm like, what the hell is going on here?
Jefferson's on Superman.
It's like, where's Darkseid? Where's Metallo? Where's Mixoplex? I want to see a Superman movie that doesn't have to do with Doomsday. And I already know they're going to do a Doomsday movie with this new one. I already know. Because if you look at the Justice League lineup that they got, that's basically Booster Gold and them fighting Doomsday before Superman gets them. I know they're going to do it because they're stuck on Doomsday. I want to see Superman fight Mr. Mixoplex, Toy Man, Lex Luthor, Brainiac, and
Parasite.
And Parasite.
Livewire.
Those are the villains that I want to see. And Darkseid. I want to see a Superman fighting the Hunger Dogs. You know, those
here's the problem, and this is where they fell into that trap before. Was okay, cool. We're rushing to get to Darkseid because we need our Thanos.
Well, if you really look at it, Marvel Heroes, period.
Marvel superheroes, we can say.
Marvel superheroes have always been a ripoff of DC superhero characters. So Thanos is Darkseid. The Justice League is the Avengers.
Yeah.
Stan Lee admits that. Stan Lee says, I saw that they had the Justice League, and I said, we have to come up with our own team, and they came up with the Avengers. They saw Doom Patrol. They had to come up with the X-Men. Every DC title that existed, what's it called? The Kirby's book that he did in the 50s, The Challenges of the Unknown. That's Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
So Marvel has always been second to DC, but in the films, well, they're second to them in the films because DC had movies out 20 years before them, right?
Of course.
So it's like, of course, their characters and their storylines are always going to be similar. If you look at the movies, their stories are similar too. Yeah. It's because Marvel always ripped off DC. But now you have this young generation who's like, oh, DC's ripping off Marvel. It's like, no, dummy, read a book. See that. You know what I want to see as movies? I want to see a new Shadow movie. I want to see a new Flash Gordon film. I want to see a new Phantom film. I want to see Defenders of the Earth come together. I want to see a new Dick Tracy movie. I want to see a Green Hornet picture that's serious, not this goofy Rogan.
Oh, we're smoking bongs.
Yeah, I don't want to see. That was terrible. Which was kind of, I would say, loosely based off of Kevin Smith's reboot of the character, Yeah. That's what I want to see. Get the Golden Age characters. I want to see a Bronzeman film, Yeah, Doc Savage.
These aren't going to sell tickets, right? That's the problem.
They will if they do it right.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, how many Tarzan movies we got? A lot. They all make money. How many Zorro films we got? We got a Zorro TV show. They do well. They're not going to make $1 billion, but they're steady. Did you see the new Zorro show on Amazon?
I did not.
Good.
I can't
It's dubbed in English. It's a Spanish show, but they dubbed it in English.
Yeah.
But you can't tell in English until like the 5th episode. You're like, wait a second, what's going on?
Does it beat Zorro the Gay Blade?
Nothing beats Zorro the Gay Blade.
I am Zorro the Gay Blade. I need to get that movie.
I love that film. That's hard to find. I was looking for it. It's hard to find. You can only find it on VHS, I think. I don't think they have it on DVD. You may find it on DVD, but not Blu-ray.
I always bust because Grazi is a big Zorro fan.
Yeah.
He's been doing some Zorro stuff. I said, you gotta do Zorro the Gay Blade. He's like, I'm not doing Zorro the Gay Blade. That's hilarious. Where is George Hamilton? The world needs more George Hamilton. He needs to be
more George Hamilton.
He needs to be in a Marvel movie.
And the idea they had about making the monster movies into hero films, like The Mummy, I like Tom Cruise's The Mummy. Was it great? No. But it was that you had the thing from Water about the sea monster, and then you had the Mummy film, which I liked a lot, with Butina in it. I thought she was good. Yeah. And we had Dracula the Hero, which sucked, but if they redo if they put these monsters together, like the movies, you can have, and not make it like Abbott Costello, it's like, let's do it like Deadpool and have an Abbott Costello meets the monsters, it's like, I love Abbott Costello and the monster things. I'm not saying there's anything bad.
There's a time period in Miramax that they wanted to do a Jay and Bob Meet the Monsters movie. Jay and Silent Bob.
Really?
And it was going to be because at that time Miramax had the rights to Hellraiser.
Really?
Michael Myers. They were doing the Halloween.
That sounds like a good idea. That would have been funny because they did Scream with the
Yeah. So, and I guess whatever, they never, the man who's in big trouble, Weinstein, I guess whatever came to fruition. Yeah. So, but that was they were going to do a Jay and Bob, and I think that's why Jay and Bob show up in Scream 3, just to kind of like test the waters about like,
Yeah.
ooh, can they
But
live in this
that
world?
movie predicted a Scooby-Doo film. That movie predicted the Daredevil movie, right?
Yeah.
They had all those little tidbits in there, so they already knew that these movies are coming out. So they did a Daredevil film. They did little. If you watch that movie again, there's a lot of films that came out afterwards that they walked through those sets,
Yeah.
including the Scream sequel, which I heard. I haven't seen it, but I heard that during the Scream sequel, they actually walked through the set in the actual movie. I don't know if that's
Well,
true.
no, there's a scene in Scream 3, they're walking through like Gail Weathers, Courtney Cox's character is doing her report, and Jay and Bob walk by, and Jay, hey, what's up, Connie Chung?
See, I haven't seen that. I wasn't a fan of the Scream movies.
Oh yeah, it's a funny little walkthrough. It's funny. And I remember because I'm a Kevin Smith fan, being in the movie, seeing Scream 3, and that was before we didn't have the internet. There were no spoilers. Like, oh, there's going to be a cool cameo. So if you saw something like that, it was a true surprise in the theater.
Yeah, my cousin worked on post production for the Scream TV show when it was on.
Oh yeah, I haven't watched it. Maybe I need to see too much content. Jesus Christ, too much stuff to watch.
The thing is, it's almost like a resurgence of the '80s. They have you so busy that you're not paying attention to what's happening in the world.
I know. Uh-oh.
Let them eat cake. Give them the before they might be having arena fights with animals and humans again. Before it's like,
oh, Jesus
yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting stuff. There's a lot of content. So
yeah,
a lot of things to watch on television.
Much. So I was watching Agatha all along today, and for the life of me, I don't understand. I thought the first 3 episodes were perfect. Why do they have to have a singing episode? So right before that, I was watching The Joker. Stop The Joker. I was like, oh, screw this. I'm going to watch Agatha all along. And then they're singing. It's like, it reminds me of Legion. They did the same thing with Legion. Legion was a solid show. All of a sudden, season 3 starts and they're singing and dancing. Like, what the hell's going on?
They break into song.
Can we stop the singing and dancing and superhero movies? I like musicals.
Down, 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 whatever.
I don't want them together, It's like, it's not a Reese's peanut butter cup. I don't want my peanut and chocolate mixed together, It's like the old commercial. We don't want musicals. I like musicals. I like superheroes. I don't want them together. We don't want them. I could watch I saw the new West Side Story. Loved it.
It was good. It was fine.
Like the original one. I could watch it 100 times.
Yeah.
But I don't want to see superheroes dancing.
Joker 2. Wait till you see Joker. Well, full Joker 2, and they do real big musical numbers. Whatever.
The Joker 2 opens up with a cartoon Warner Brothers interlude, which reminded me of Tiny Toons a little bit. Mm-hmm. So that's how they opened it up.
Yeah.
And it goes into this. And I knew it was bad because Harley Quinn started the same way, if you remember. It started with a cartoon number.
I don't even remember. I saw it once. I have it. I haven't watched it again.
Yeah, you know why? Because it's not good. There's not enough hours in the day to sacrifice for that film. But I mean, it starts off with a cartoon number about her and the Joker breaking up, and then she becomes, she goes all out, Gigo. So,
I need to watch that again.
Yeah, I mean, the Cassandra Cain being a chubby girl with a diamond up her pooper. From badass mute ninja to a girl who can't shut up and
oh my god,
is eating throughout the whole film. It's like, give me a break.
Yeah.
They have to understand something very clearly. The comic book genre is dependent. I mean, the superhero genre in films is dependent on keeping guys happy. Give us what we want. We have a female audience. We have room for them. I liked Madam Web. Most people will say they hated it.
It was okay. I didn't think it was horrible.
I didn't think it was horrible. I felt like I was watching Charmed. If you could watch Buffy and Charmed, you could, or like Vampire Diaries or whatever, you could watch Madam Web.
Like my biggest complaint is I would have liked to seen them in the costumes more.
Yeah.
That was my biggest complaint. Otherwise, I thought it was okay.
And they filmed it in the Bronx, even though they kept calling it Queens.
I didn't know they filmed it in the Bronx.
Yeah, they filmed that whole opening with the ambulance chase was in my old neighborhood. I was like, that's Lehman College. Oh, that's I recognize that train. It's okay. I know that building. That's on Jerome. It's like,
I mean, technically, I mean, is that its own separate universe, or could that which Peter Parker was born in that flick? Could have been any of them.
That's another thing. Ben, they totally messed up that Ben and Aunt May is his uncle and aunt, not their parents.
Yeah.
And they didn't have a kid of their own. So are they saying that Peter Parker, they had Peter Parker as a kid?
I don't know.
They kind of hinted that, right? They kept hinting that, but then I don't know. They could have done so much. The villain made no sense at all. Did you ever see that Filipino movie called Mercury Man, which was a spoof on Spider-Man?
I didn't.
I'll lend it to you. It's a great film. It was a Malaysian film where they did the black Spider-Man costume, but with the silver stuff. So he looked like a cross between Spawn and Black Spider-Man. And that's exactly what that Madam Web villain looked like.
I watched Spawn not that long ago. Oh my God.
Yeah.
The effects in that movie, horrible.
Where John Leguizamo was great. Excuse me.
No, but everybody was going back now. McFarlane needs to make a better Spawn movie. I think it's time. I think it's time.
I asked him in 2016 or something, or one of the Comic Cons in San Diego. I was chatting with him at length, and I'm like, man. I was like, I love the toys and stuff that you're doing, but I said, when are you going to come up with another Spawn movie? Let's get this done. He was like, it's in the works. It's coming out. It's like
he's doing good. He's doing good with his toys. That's what it is. And his toys have come a long way.
It's funny but he said that he would vow he would never work for the big two again. And here he is making toys going against what he said.
Well, but I mean, but listen, the thing is they're throwing him money for this now. So
yeah. You know, it's funny. I heard that comic book issue that he did of, that famous one he did a figure of with the cape flowing and all that he made. That book's going for $200. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Huh.
I like Todd McFarlane. I love his Spider-Man. But when he worked for DC, I hated his art. They replaced Alan Davis with Todd McFarlane. I was like, who is this? This is terrible.
Not Batman.
I'm very judgmental. That's because I grew up a Christian, I was like, very judgmental. Yeah, we're thinking absolutes. He's like,
Jesus Christ.
So I was like, you give me Alan Davis. You can't give me Alan Davis and then take it away and give me Todd McFarlane. This is like, like the Jersey Shore version of Batman.
That's funny.
It's like, I don't need this. Even though he's Canadian, but he's like, it's like
Jersey Shore version of Batman. That's funny.
It's like, I don't want this Jersey Shore Batman.
My God.
I don't want Snooki,
What was that guy's name? The Situation. He's Batman, right?
Yeah.
That's funny. Oh my God.
I don't know. Sorry, my phone just keeps doing that. So
anyways, we've been at this for like a little bit over an hour and a half here. So
so let me make some announcements real quick.
It's a school night. Yeah.
I got some plugs.
Tomorrow, Ray.
Hudson Yards.
Next
week for Comic Con. Come check out Hudson Yards. There's a comic book con show. There's a comic book show in Hudson Yards by the Bronx Brewery. It's about New York and beer. That's the theme.
Great.
And
New York and beer?
I'm in there, and there's going to be beer there. I don't really drink beer anymore, but maybe I'll have one if it's free. I'm a little chunky.
We did, and it was like 11 o'clock in the morning. We were drinking beer. That was fun.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah. So I'll be there next week. Thursday, I think, no, Wednesday, this will be Wednesday, and then Thursday, there's a drink and draw there.
Nice.
I'll be there. And the show goes up this Sunday, so we'll be putting it up this Sunday at 7:30 in the morning. So I'll be working on this weekend. At least telling them, put it here, no, put it there. And it's Ken and Alan Dorison. These guys used to work for Mocha,
Okay.
the original Mocha, and they're behind this show. And there's a lot of great artists that are going to be in that show. So I'm going to post that. Come through if you can.
Yeah.
And Without Superheroes is coming out soon, but I would say early 2025, because I have literally 5 issues colored. I just have to letter them. Gary Cohn's Nemesis #2, long time in the making. That's coming out soon in 2020.
Gary Coleman's Nemesis?
Gary Cohn's Nemesis.
I thought you said Gary Coleman.
No. Isn't he dead?
He is dead.
You have to Gary Cohn's DC Gary Cohn, the Blue Devil creator. We worked on a book for a long time. We're working on that. It's my fault because I'm doing my own stuff right now. But it's a passion project, so it's coming out soon.
Gotcha.
And then Punchline #3 at some point. It's already been done, but I wanted to change the ending, so I never released it. So that's coming out. That's everything that's coming. Oh, and then we got this top secret stuff. Can't talk about it. You can see it real quick, but
all right.
That's the next big thing. So I'm working on getting canceled again for 2025.
That's your New Year's resolution, is to get canceled again.
Well, you know what it is. I just
oh, God.
I gotta stay true to my spirit, and I've always been. If you ever read World Without Superheroes or any of my books, it always deals with politics, Black Power, Richard Nixon. World Without Superheroes is about the Vietnam War, and then you got the Reaganomics, the Reagan era, so I've always tackled politics. I've never been shy about it. So I even did an issue of GI America, which has yet to come out, had Obama in it, so so I like to poke fun at both sides. It doesn't matter if it's red or blue. I like to poke fun at it. I like to write about politicians, in my comics. So
that works.
This is another one. So in the making. So
well, Ray Felix, this is always a blast.
Likewise, and you're right. It is. We do have to work in the morning.
Yeah.
I have to drive an hour. You're like across the street or something.
I go across the street, but I'm going to Syracuse tomorrow night. So there you go. This time tomorrow night, I'll be driving to Syracuse. So,
really? What's the convention?
Retro GamerCon. I don't know if you heard me in the beginning. I'm going to be at Retro GamerCon this weekend up in Syracuse at the One Center.
Did that Pennsylvania con reach you? That one about the games, kids things that we did? Remember we did that with Gracia one year?
No, I haven't. Oh, yeah, they don't exist anymore.
No, they reached out to me.
Which?
The one that had all those YouTubers. Remember that one that had the YouTubers in Pennsylvania?
Well, I don't know. You have to.
Yeah, they reached out to me if I wanted to do something, but I don't remember if I responded or not. Maybe I did. I don't know.
I have no idea.
I forwarded the information to Gracia. You can ask him.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I don't know. So.
Yeah.
Excellente. So Ray Felix, we'll keep you on here after a minute. But everybody go check out Ray's exhibit next weekend. Come to the trunk or treat we're doing here in Poughkeepsie. Not Poughkeepsie. Now you made me do it. In Wappingers Falls on the 20th. And we'll be back with Incredichat Live. We have a couple of cool guests coming up, to follow Ray Felix here in the upcoming weeks. So stay tuned. Some classic TV memories happening. So we'll be back. So, thank you all for joining us. And we will see you all very soon.
Be there or be square. Wednesday, not the weekend. Wednesday. Next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday.
Yeah.
All right. Incredichat out.
Check it out.